Look, we've all heard the same recycled self-help quotes. Follow your passion, hustle harder, think positive. But what if the real kind that builds wealth, character, and peace wasn't found in Silicon Valley or on your social feed, but in a quiet town in Malaysia? In this episode, we deeply dive into the 17 life-changing quotes from Ipoh, the City of Millionaires. These aren't cliches. These are raw, real, and often overlooked truths passed down in kopitiams, mined in limestone hills, and lived by men and women who quietly build legacies without ever trending. We are talking about wealth that whispers, discipline over display, and slowing down to think faster. Whether you are chasing success, clarity, or just trying to live with more meaning, these quotes from Ipoh will change how you see ambition, money, and life itself. So let's get into it. Once upon a time, Ipoh wasn't a quiet retirement town. It was the boom town of Southeast Asia. Tin mining made people rich, but here's the thing, those who built real wealth didn't shout about it. They weren't posting with cars or showing off watches. They were negotiating quietly, buying land discreetly, and building brick by brick, while others were busy talking about ideas they never acted on. Now, this quote reminds us that real builders rarely broadcast their plans. They are busy doing the work. In a world of TikToks, hot takes, and endless noise, those who are quiet tend to be the ones with the clearest focus. In Ipoh, people made moves without needing applause. Today, we confuse visibility with value. Just because someone's loud online doesn't mean they are winning. The guy you never hear about might already be semi-retired, collecting rent and eating kaya toast in peace. The world respects results, not volume. So the lesson here, stop announcing your plans, stop screaming for attention. Let your output speak for itself. You don't need to go viral, you just need to go forward. One of the most powerful things about Ipoh is the way knowledge is passed down. Not through lectures, but through life. Your grandfather didn't tell you how to manage money. He showed you by wearing the same sandals for 10 years and still being the landlord of 5 shophouses. Your mother didn't teach you about hard work. She just woke up at 5 a.m. every day without fail and kept the family afloat. In Ipoh, people don't brag about their wealth. It's almost a taboo. You rarely hear someone say, I own 3 buildings. Instead, they'll tell you, don't waste your money, save first. That's how wisdom works here. Not in the form of grand declarations, but in small habits that speak volumes. And that's what makes this city so powerful. The culture of quiet excellence. People in Ipoh don't aspire to be flashy. They aspire to be dependable. And that subtly. It teaches the next generation what matters. So the lesson here is, legacy is not what you leave for people. It's what you leave in them. Pass down wisdom, not just wealth. So there's something magical about white coffee in Ipoh. It's not a fancy beverage. It's roasted beans, margarine, and condensed milk. Yet the smell alone can teleport you to your childhood. Now that's simplicity, refined over decades. It became the heartbeat of a brand. Old Town, white coffee isn't a global brand because it's fancy. It's a global brand because it's consistent. Now, what does that say about life? We often think success means coming up with the next big thing, an app, a startup, a breakthrough idea. But more often, success is found in doing small things exceptionally well, repeatedly, patiently, with care. That's what Ipoh teaches. Polish your craft until even something simple becomes sacred. Many people want to be revolutionary, but what if being remarkable is about mastering the ordinary? Your nasi lemak, your small shop, your tutoring service, what if that is the gold mine, if you treat it with excellence? So the lesson here is, greatness doesn't always come from novelty. It comes from depth, dedication, and doing the basics better than anyone else. If you spend any time in Ipoh, you've probably met him. The old uncle who looks like he's retired and broke. Except he's not. He's got tenants, dividends, and maybe even a few lots near Concubine Lane. His slippers cost 8 ringgit, his watch maybe 20 ringgit, and yet his bank balance could probably buy your whole wardrobe. We've grown up in a world that glorifies appearance. Instagram influencers rent Lamborghinis. Young entrepreneurs lease offices they can't afford. But in Ipoh, wealth hides behind plain clothes and the quiet lives. The real rich live beneath their means, not above them. Why? Because they understand discipline. They know that it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And most importantly, how you invest what you keep. That's the discipline that turns a small income into a big future. Lesson here, don't buy luxury, buy leverage. Delay the pleasure, build the engine, and the world will one day work for you. Ask anyone, Ipoh feels slower. There's space between things. Cafes don't rush you out. Conversations take their time. There's no manic KL energy, no New York style, hustle till you drop madness. And you know what? That's the secret weapon. When life is too fast, we stop thinking. We rush from task to task, inbox to inbox, and forget how to breathe, let alone reflect. But in Ipoh, stillness, clarity emerge. You sit longer with your thoughts. You notice your ideas. You start asking better questions like, what do I want? Why am I chasing this? In slowing down, you speed up mentally. You align your life. You stop reacting and start creating. That's a powerful shift. Lesson here, don't confuse movement with momentum. Sometimes slowing down is what makes you unstoppable. There was a time when leaving Ipoh was considered the smart move. People ran to KL, to Singapore and London. But some stayed. And those who stayed, they noticed something the others missed. Opportunity doesn't live in a postcode. It lives in perspective. So while others chased, these people built. They started workshops, opened tuition centers, bought land and turned shop houses into cafes. They didn't wait for the world to come to validate them. They created their own world. Ipoh didn't hand them much, but it handed them space, affordability and time. And they used it. Now, some of them are employing others, renting to expats, creating legacy businesses, all without living. So the lesson here, you don't need a bigger city, you need a bigger vision. Stop looking elsewhere, build where your feet are. In Ipoh, businesses doesn't just happen in boardrooms. It happens over kopi o on a cracked marble table, between bites of half-boiled eggs. Deals are done with trust, not just contracts. Strategies are drafted on tissue paper, not whiteboards. Now, these humble kopitiams were and are incubators of ideas, real ones, not slideshows or buzzwords, but practical discussions about rent, suppliers, margins. The man sipping coffee at the next table might own 5 lots and just negotiated another joint venture. In today's world of Zoom meetings and sterile offices, we forget the power of informal wisdom. Some of the best ideas come when the guard is down, when you're relaxed, when conversations flow naturally. Ipoh kept that culture alive. So the lesson here is, don't wait for perfect conditions to collaborate. Share ideas, be open. Sometimes the best pitch happens over toast and kaya over here. There was a time when Ipoh was a ghost town in the making. Tin dried up, jobs left, big brands pulled out. Everyone said, leave. And many did, but some stayed. Some saw something others didn't. A place where land was cheap, where community mattered, where the race had fewer runners. They stayed not because they had no choice, but because they had a vision. Now, today, Many of those who stayed are quietly thriving. They own buildings that have tripled in value. They run schools, cafes, repair shops, and co-ops. While others were chasing trends, they built roots. And roots, unlike trends, survive storms. Now, this quote is a lesson in resisting the urge to flee when things look stagnant. Stability isn't sexy, but it breeds mastery, and mastery breeds wealth in money, relationships, and reputation. So the lesson here is, before you run, ask, is this truly barren or just unpolished gold? Sometimes staying gives you compound returns that running never will. Yes, tin made Ipoh rich, but it wasn't the ground, it was the grit of the people. The miners who risked their lungs, the hawkers who perfected their noodles, the uncles who taught themselves poverty math without Google. That's the real capital, not just the soil, but the soul. In today's world, we place all value in assets, stock, crypto, land. But here's the truth, without skilled hands and focused minds, assets are dead weight. The real wealth is you, your skills, your resilience, your ability to think through a problem when ChatGPT is not working. This is the blue-collar gospel that built Ipoh. They didn't wait for capital, they became the capital. So the lesson here is, you don't need more resources, you need to become more resourceful. That's the mindset, that's generational wealth. There's an unspoken rule in Ipoh. When someone's child needs tuition, someone offers help. When your house floods, neighbors show up with towels, not just texts. It's not charity, it's culture. There's a deeply embedded sense of gotong royong, where you lift people as you climb up. Now, this kind of human currency can't be found in bigger cities. There, people are rich in options, poor in connections. Here, it's the opposite, and that's the secret. The richest lives are those filled with meaningful relationships, not just material wins. Modern life isolates us. We chase productivity and forget presence. But the older millionaires of Ipoh will tell you, success is hollow without community. The lesson here, if you want to build a richer life, invest in people, not just portfolios. Walk through Old Town and you'll see paint peeling, shutters broken, doors that creak like they hold secrets. But ask around and you'll find those buildings have history. Love stories, lost fortunes, lives rebuilt from scratch. Now, we often measure value by how new something is. But Ipoh reminds us, beauty is in the aging, the patina, the wear and tear that comes from living. What's old isn't always obsolete. Sometimes it's irreplaceable. Now, in your own life, what are you trying to replace too soon? Your job, your habits, your home? Maybe like the old shop houses, what you already have just needs restoration, not rejection. The lesson here, don't be so quick to tear down what time has shaped. In the cracks live stories and sometimes second chances. From the outside, Ipoh looks slow, but peek behind the curtain, an artist is running an Etsy empire, a grandma teaching Mandarin to Koreans online, a kid building his second Shopify store. They don't boast, they don't tweet, but they build silently and steadily. In our digital age, we confuse visibility with value, but the most impactful people are often the least noisy. They are too busy doing. So Ipoh reminds us that brilliance isn't always on display. Sometimes it's brewing in silence. And when it is ready, it arrives without fanfare, but with force. The lesson here, you don't need to go loud to go far. Keep brewing, keep building, your moment will come. And you'll be over-prepared when it does. Ipoh doesn't erase history, it layers over it. The new cafes still keep the tiles. The boutique hotels honor the shop house bones. It's not nostalgia, it's strategy. Because the past here holds answers. What worked, what lasted, and what connected people. Now, in your own life, are you so busy chasing the future that you have abandoned your past? Your roots, your real passions, that thing you loved before you got too busy or practical. Your past isn't just a memory, it's a manual. And Ipoh teaches us to consult it often. So the lesson here, before you innovate, investigate. Before you pivot, remember, your past might be the key to your next breakthrough. Ipoh millionaires rarely overspent, not because they were cheap, but because they were clear. They didn't need 3 cars or 5 condos, just one that worked, one that grew, and one to leave behind. That clarity made them powerful. They weren't chasing more, they were living enough. Today, most of us suffer from lifestyle inflation. Earn more, spend more, buy now, pay later, and still feel empty. But Ipoh flips the formula. You don't chase more to feel rich. You feel rich when you stop needing more. So the lesson here is, if you don't define what enough means, the world will keep telling you that you are not enough. So choose your standards or you will inherit someone else's. The Ipoh way wasn't about explosive launches. It was about daily habits. One more shop lot, one more contract, one more month of rice and sardines while the rest went to savings. No shortcuts, just slow, silent stacking. We are obsessed with speed. How fast can I get rich? How soon till I go viral? But fast wins are often fragile. Ipoh teaches us to build slow and strong. When you go slow, you go deep. And when storms come, you stand strong while others sink. So the lesson here is this: be boring, be consistent. That's how real success is built and how it stays. Many cities produce escapists, people always wanting to get out, to find more. But in Ipoh, many dream of better, not elsewhere. They want to improve the block they live on, turn grandma's house into a cafe, turn tuition into a school. The dream isn't to flee, it is to lift. And that's rare, because escape is easy. Elevation, that takes vision. You look at a tired town, a failing idea, a rusty gate, and you'll say, let's fix this. And the lesson here is, not all dreams require a passport. Sometimes the greatest adventure is to love what you already have and make it better. So there you have it, 17 quiet truths from a quiet city that built more millionaires than it ever bragged about. Ipoh may not shout, but it teaches. It doesn't race, but it lasts. And in every corner of its kopitiams, its old roads, its silent tycoons, it reminds us of something the world keeps forgetting. Success isn't about loudness, it's about clarity. Wealth isn't about display, it's about discipline. Legacy isn't about fame, it's about impact. So maybe, just maybe, we have been looking for success in the wrong places. Maybe it isn't out there under neon lights or viral reels. Maybe it's right here in the values that we inherit and the ones we teach and we repeat in a city that raises more wisdom than noise. So wherever you are, Kuala Lumpur, London, New York, or still here in Ipoh, don't chase the world. Build yours quietly, purposefully, enduringly. And thank you for tuning in to this episode. If this episode made you pause, reflect, or see your life a little differently, share it with your someone who needs a reminder that their story doesn't have to be loud to be legendary. So I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay grounded, stay growing. Rockford's Education and EdQuest International School are proud to be the #1 IGCSE specialist in Ipoh and the city's first international boutique school offering personalized learning, modular exams, and real success in a world that is constantly changing.